That's right, friends. This is On the Money with Ryan Wheelis, your financial advisor, your financial flight structure to your retirement. Mr. Ryan Wheelis, still an exciting time right now. Still a lot of folks, I'd say, buzzing from the election results from a couple of weeks ago. What's happening at the office?
I think it's safe to say that heads are exploding, Spike. I mean,
yeah.
this
Yes.
pick for Matt Gaetz for DOJ to head the DOJ is
It's
I
what
gotta say,
people voted for. They wanted something different.
When you prosecute a guy 3 ways from Sunday and he beats nearly all of them, things like this happen, and it's just it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting period of time coming ahead of us, and I think that this will be one of the most transformational 4 years in office since I could even say Abraham Lincoln. I mean, this is going to be very interesting.
Things to watch. Now, over the last couple of videos that we put out there and for last week's radio show, we did talk about what were some of the both immediate and long-term impacts. We discussed Social Security. We discussed the skyrocketing markets. Here's another concept I want to ask you about. And for our radio listeners, we do a full hour-long radio program. Don't change your channel. We're not going to get too deep in the weeds. But the federal chair, okay? And we understand that there's an entire board. There's like 19 members, and the president gets to elect someone to go in, has to get through these members. Anywho, how much control does the incoming president, does the Fed chair have over how our economy does? I'm wondering what our economic takeaways, Ryan. What could we maybe expect? When you're saying this change of 4 years, what are we going to see at the storefronts, innovations? What's going to happen to our personal economy?
You have to understand, it's like a locomotive under full steam. How do you stop it? There's a reason why when you're at night and you hear the crossing guards come down and they're blowing the horn on the engineer of the train is blowing the horn, because you just can't just stop the train. It doesn't work like that. It takes a while to slow that train down and to bring it to a complete stop. And I don't know where I heard the number, but I think it can take up to 3 miles to completely stop a train, maybe even more than that. And the economy is a locomotive or a freight train. It is what it is. So any changes that are being done are going to be gradual changes, and you won't know the effects or ramifications or pros or cons, if you will, to those changes for quite some time, right?
Down the road. Okay.
Sure. I mean, if the Fed cuts rates today, you're not going to see the well, just think about it on the way up. We were raising rates, but it took a period of time and consistent rate raises to get us to the point where inflation started kind of taming down. Also, the supply chain was able to catch up because of reduced demand and consumption, because everything became more expensive to borrow money against and that sort of thing. So, I think that you will see positives for sure. I believe it will take some time to see those positives.
How about right here in Texas? So first of all, YouTube videos obviously seen all across the country, maybe all around the world. Who knows? We're going to get that worldwide audience for you on the YouTube channel. But for here in Texas, two things. So first, I think we joked about it last week. He's talking about the new incoming president, talking about taking away the $7,500, I think, the EV credit for buying an electric vehicle. That would affect his buddy Musk. I don't know if he's going to do that. But then also what happened with oil and gas here in Texas. But anywho, let's start with EVs and Musk.
I don't know on the EV thing, Spike. I owned an EV. I got the tax credit. I don't own one anymore. I enjoyed my Tesla. It was a good time. It just was time to do something different. And, the tax credit apparently wasn't accretive to the car owner or the expansion.
Like the dealership? Or
No, but it wasn't. To the overall electric vehicle movement, the tax credit didn't seem to go as far as it should have. It wasn't accretive to the bottom line of the increased use of EV vehicles. And I don't think Musk really cares. Musk is just a complete different kind of guy. So who knows where that goes. But I can tell you this. I believe very strongly that drill baby drill is here. It's here to stay. Trump just picked his energy department guy. He's a big-time fracking guy. That's awesome to see. So Trump believes in the U.S., and the U.S. has substantial amounts of natural resources right here. And we're in a position to stop sending all our money overseas to people that want to kill us, right? And I think that's a very, very positive thing for the U.S. It also expands the tax base because there's more revenue. It expands the economy because more people have jobs. There's more revenue. It also drives down energy prices. So there's a lot of benefits to, as we know it, is drill, baby, drill. And
Do you think this is a hiring time for gas and oil companies here in Texas? Do you think it's good for employment?
I think at Trump's town hall meeting in Pennsylvania, I heard him say some things he was going to do, which sounded awesome, by the way, when he was answering the question of one of the patrons in the audience. And he even told the patron, he said, listen, this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but I promise you it's going to happen. It's going to take me about a year to a year and a half to get this stuff done, but it will get done, right? So I think that's what we're facing. Now, I don't think everyone saw us controlling the House and the Senate as Republicans, and the White House. So that now
maybe not as long. Yeah,
it should speed things up for sure. And of course, you got guys like Mitch McConnell, and who just needs to go away, and Nancy Pelosi with him, quite frankly, and let younger people run the government, or be in positions of power of the government. So who knows? But I do think that the expansion of Trump's agenda, which is pro-America, will happen faster than it would have if we had a split House and Senate.
Are there any immediate takeaways? Because you're saying we need to wait a little bit to see these effects. Portfolio review, risk. Again, we go back to the stock markets. We did see a lot of skyrocketing over the last 7, 8, 9 days when the markets were open, but also a few 100-point pullback days. Anything that we need to be reviewing, pre-retirement, retirement. We're going to talk later about some tax things that we need to do before the end of the year, some decisions you need to make before retirement. But immediate things for folks who are stepping into retirement in the next year or two?
Spike, we have had a good run-up in the market, and I would just tell folks that historically, when you look at when a Republican president takes over from an incumbent Democrat president, the market is oftentimes up in that election year, but it's flat to slightly negative in the inauguration year. Now, that's because the House and Senate are oftentimes split away from the White House, meaning you could have a Democrat Senate, a Republican House, and a Republican White House, right? You've got a mixture there. So I don't know the answer to the question, but I'll tell you this. I was reading over the weekend, which I often do because I'm a big nerd. The PE ratio on the S&P 500 is 38. It's only happened there 3 times in history, which tells me it's pretty frothy. So I would tell you to be cautious. We've had some really strong gains in the markets here as of late. And I always kind of relate that to a casino, right? I go to Vegas. I enjoy playing card games. Blackjack's one of my games. Play some baccarat. I enjoy craps as well. But anytime I start to get up on the house, I always at least take my money and put it back in my pocket. And
I was like literally, like physically in your pockets. Like, I'm taking that off. Now I'm playing with their money.
It's what I do, And so I kind of look at people who have benefited from an upticking stock market here as of late. Maybe you should consider doing the same thing, right? Because if you take some gains off the table and move them into some programs like structured notes, properly structured annuity programs, private credit funds, private equity funds, there's some things in those elements I just mentioned that can, in fact, protect your downside and still give you a very, very, very reasonable upside, all right? So what you're doing is you're reducing the risk in your portfolio at a time when the market's at all-time highs. And I'm not saying jump out of the market, but if you've got $1 million portfolio and you've made $200,000 in gains in the last year, maybe you could even $30,000. Maybe consider taking those gains out and doing something different with those to protect those and let your money continue to run. When you look at someone who buys stocks, Spike, you make money when you sell the stock. Okay, it's not when you buy it. You can buy it right, but you got to sell it to realize the gain. Oftentimes, what I say is this: if you put $100,000 into a stock and you double your money, so now you've got $200,000 in the stock. Take your $100,000 out. Take it out. Let the $100,000 of profit run, and then take your $100,000 that you initially invested in that stock and diversify that into other things. other stocks maybe, structured notes, again, private equity funds, private real estate funds, private credit funds. There's all kind of stuff you can do out there to diversify yourself.
You can call the phone number right now and get started on your own portfolio review from Ryan Wheelis, the financial advisory team at Allied Wealth, right now just by dialing 844-944-7555. Folks are standing by right now. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you can call that phone number as well. You can also go to retirenowhouston.com. That's retirenowhouston.com. You can schedule an appointment right there. If you're listening to us on the radio, more with Ryan Wheelis and On the Money right after that.